Sorry, you're not invited. Leave. My mother's voice was sharp, cold, and dripping with mockery. The room full of relatives froze as her words sliced through the air. Then my father chimed in louder, crueler. Get this beggar out. Security. Hi everyone, my name is Serena Hale and I swear to you, I never thought I'd live a moment that would make my own blood feel like poison in my veins. Have you ever stood in a place where you thought you belonged, only to be treated like you were less than human? I had arrived at my parents' lavish anniversary dinner, dressed simple but elegant, holding the gift I had carefully wrapped. The hall shimmered with golden chandeliers, laughter, and the clinking of champagne glasses. 100 faces turned toward me, not with love, not with welcome, but with smirks and whispers. I froze at the doorway, my heels suddenly heavier than stone. For a moment I thought they were joking. My parents had always loved to tease, to play at superiority. But when the security guard actually started walking toward me, hand outstretched like I was some trespasser, my chest tightened. I glanced at my brother. He looked away, sipping wine as if I were invisible. My sister's lips curled in triumph, like she'd been waiting for this scene. And my parents? They watched me squirm, savoring my humiliation as if cutting me out was the grand finale of their celebration. Ma'am, I'll have to ask you to leave, the guard said, his tone formal but his eyes filled with pity. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, to ask why. But no words came out. Instead, I felt my hands trembling as I clutched the gift, a crystal frame I'd saved weeks to buy. My mother sneered. Take that trash with you. The gift slipped from my hands and shattered across the marble floor. Gasps filled the hall. My shame was complete. So I turned. My heels clicked against the marble like a funeral drumbeat as I walked out. The doors shut behind me, muffling the laughter and music that felt like knives in my back. But outside, under the night sky, something inside me hardened. They thought they'd humiliated me. They thought I'd crawl away and cry. I pulled out my phone. With quiet, shaking hands, I opened the banking apps, the payment portals, the travel agencies, the catering contracts. I canceled everything. Every bill, every trip, every payment. $82,000 worth of their perfect night and perfect life. And when my phone buzzed, 1 call, 5 calls, 20 calls, 35 missed calls, I knew the game had just begun. At my door someone knocked. And that was only the beginning. The knock was sharp, almost frantic. I stood frozen in my tiny apartment, the glow of my phone screen lighting my face. 35 missed calls. 15 voicemails. My parents, my siblings, relatives, every single one demanding my immediate response. But the knock pulled me out of my thoughts. 3 knocks. Pause. Then again. I swallowed hard, my chest burning with the mix of rage and humiliation still fresh from the dinner. Who could it be? I crept toward the door, my bare feet silent on the wooden floor. Through the peephole, my brother. He looked furious. His tuxedo jacket hung loose, his tie undone, his face red with embarrassment. He wasn't here to apologize. No. His clenched jaw and the way he pounded the door told me exactly why he came. Open the damn door, Serena, he barked. His voice echoed through the hallway. What the hell did you just do? I let the silence stretch just long enough for him to squirm. Then calmly I unlocked the door but didn't step aside. I leaned on the frame, my voice cool, detached. Did the party stop? His nostrils flared. Don't play dumb. Everything's been cancelled. The catering, the after-party trip to Miami, Dad's hotel bookings. What the hell is wrong with you? I tilted my head. Funny. Thought I was just a beggar. Beggars can't possibly control $82,000 worth of your golden life, right? He pushed against the doorframe, his eyes darting past me, searching for weakness. You'll fix this. No. You'll call and reverse everything, or so help me. I cut him off with a laugh. Low, sharp, and foreign even to my own ears. Or what? You'll throw me out again? You'll have security drag me out of my own home? His expression faltered just slightly. That's when I saw it, the fear. Not fear of me but of the fallout. My parents' precious reputation, their anniversary spectacle, their image in front of their wealthy friends, all unraveling because of me. Serena, this isn't just about you, he hissed. You're ruining everything. Dad's partners were there. Clients. Investors. Do you even understand what you've done? I let the weight of his words hang in the air. Fully I smiled. Oh, I understand perfectly. I just chose me, for once. He stepped back, his fists tightening at his sides, his eyes full of venom. "You'll regret this. Mom and Dad will destroy you." I closed the door gently in his face, his threat lingering in the silence. For the first time in years I felt something strange blooming inside me. Not fear. Not shame. Power. But power is dangerous. And deep down I knew this was only the first crack in a storm about to break wide open. The next morning my phone buzzed before sunrise. News spread faster than wildfire. Their lavish anniversary dinner was all over social media, not because of glamour but because of disaster. Photos leaked, half-eaten plates abandoned, champagne bottles unopened, guests storming out furious after hearing the after-party trip had been mysteriously cancelled. People whispered about unpaid vendors, angry caterers, and a $20,000 floral arrangement never delivered. And in every photo my parents looked frantic. My mother, once the queen of poise, was caught red-faced, clutching her pearls. My father's jaw clenched as he barked into his phone. Their perfect empire of image? Fucking. By noon an aunt called me. "Serena, what happened? Your parents are saying you sabotaged them." I simply replied, "Didn't they tell you? I wasn't invited." I could hear her stunned silence before she muttered, "Oh my God," and hung up. Every hour brought new chaos. My father's business partner posted a vague status. "Trust is everything. Without it, nothing stands." Comments poured in. People guessed, people gossiped. Their pristine name was slipping. And then the message I didn't expect. My mother. A single line text. "Please answer. We need to talk." I stared at it. Just yesterday she had called me a beggar in front of 100 people. Now she wanted my voice, my help. The irony tasted sweet. But I didn't respond. I let her words rot in the unread bubble. That night as I sat on my bed, the city lights flickering through the blinds, I realized something profound. They had built their kingdom on appearances and money. And I had just pulled out the foundation. The silence of my phone was louder than any applause. I wasn't done. Not yet. Because tomorrow, their humiliation wouldn't just be whispered at dinner tables. It would be printed in ink, recorded in ledgers, and spoken in boardrooms. The storm had only just begun. The storm truly broke the next day. Started with the vendors. My phone lit up with calls from angry florists, furious caterers, hotel managers, even a luxury car rental company. They all had one thing in common. My name was on every payment authorization. And now every payment was cancelled. "Miss Hale," one voice said coldly, "we expect restitution immediately or legal action will follow." I smiled into the silence. "Send the bill. To my parents. They own everything, remember." By noon the gossip wasn't just in family circles. It had bled into the business world. My father's reputation was his currency and now it was being shredded. Rumors of financial instability spread like wildfire. If he can't pay for his own anniversary dinner, how does he handle millions in investments? I could almost picture him in his office, phone glued to his ear, forehead beaded with sweat, trying to patch holes in a ship already sinking. Then came the email. A journalist I vaguely knew from college wrote, "Serena, word is your family's event collapsed in scandal. Off the record, do you have a comment?" I sat at my desk, fingers hovering over the keys. For a moment I hesitated. Did I want revenge this public? Did I want to expose the truth to the world? Then I remembered my mother's voice, icy, cruel, "Get this beggar out." So I typed back. "All I can say is, sometimes the masks people wear eventually fall off." Hours later her article was live. It didn't name me directly, but it didn't need to. It painted a picture of a wealthy family cracking under hypocrisy, pride, and unpaid debts. That night my phone buzzed again. Not a call, this time a voicemail from my father. His voice was hoarse, desperate. "Serena, whatever you've done, stop. You don't understand the damage. We need you. Please call me back." For a man who once told me I was a mistake they had to raise, begging me was more intoxicating than champagne. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, heart pounding. They had reduced me to nothing. Now they were the ones crumbling and all I'd done was walk away. But a quiet voice inside whispered, "This is only the middle. The real reckoning hasn't even begun." By the third day the desperation in their voices turned sharp, almost frantic. My mother showed up first. No warning, no call, just her Mercedes screeching outside my apartment. I watched from the window as she climbed out, designer heels clicking furiously against the pavement, her diamond necklace glittering under the streetlight. She looked less like the queen she always fancied herself and more like a drowning woman clawing for air. He banged on my door. "Serena, open up this instant." I waited. Let her knock. Let her taste what silence felt like. Finally, I opened, leaning casually against the frame. Her eyes scanned my tiny apartment with disdain. "How dare you humiliate us? Do you know how many calls I've had to take? How many people are laughing at us?" I smiled faintly. "So now I exist? Last I checked, you told the world I was a beggar who didn't belong." Her face flushed. "We said things in anger, Serena. You're our daughter, don't twist this. You need to undo the cancellations. Right now." Her tone wasn't pleading. It was commanding, the same tone she'd used all my life when reminding me I was never enough. I straightened. My voice was calm, razor sharp. "You think I'll save you after the way you treated me? Oh, mother. I'm finally free from being your pawn." Her mask cracked then. For a moment I saw the fear. The empire she and Dad built on glittering lies was collapsing, and I was the one pulling the threads. When she realized I wouldn't budge, she hissed, "You'll regret this. We'll cut you off forever." I laughed. "You already did. Remember." She left in a rage, her perfume lingering like poison in the hallway. Minutes later my phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from my father. "If you don't fix this, I'll make sure you're left with nothing. Not a dime. Not a name. Nothing." But what he didn't realize, he no longer held that power. Their world was unraveling, and for the first time in my life I wasn't on the losing side. And still, deep in my chest, I knew the final blow hadn't landed yet. The real reckoning was coming, louder, sharper, and far more public than they could ever imagine. The cracks didn't just widen, they shattered in full view. By the end of the week, the whispers that began at their anniversary dinner had reached the boardroom. My father's company, built on flawless reputation, suddenly looked like a house of cards. Partners pulled out of deals. Investors demanded explanations. And one client, worth millions, sent out a brutal statement: "We don't do business with people who can't honor commitments." The fallout was swift. Stocks dipped. Calls from lawyers piled in. Reporters camped outside their mansion. Me. I watched it unfold from my worn-out couch, sipping coffee like I was front row at the theater. The phone rang again, this time my sister. She never called me unless she needed something. Her voice cracked the moment I answered. "Serena, please, they're losing everything. Do you really want to see Mom and Dad destroyed like this?" I didn't hesitate. "Yes." A silence stretched so long I thought she'd hung up. Finally, she whispered, "You're cruel." I leaned back, eyes on the city lights. "No. I'm finally treating them the way they've always treated me." That night, a video clip went viral. Someone had recorded my father storming out of a restaurant, shouting into his phone, his words unmistakable. "She's ruined me. My own daughter ruined me." The internet feasted on it. Comment sections exploded. What did she do? Why would a father say that? There's always more to the story. And for once I wasn't the one being shamed. They were. But the sweetest twist came a day later. A reporter called again, this time with proof. Bank statements, leaked by an anonymous insider, showing how much money had been funneled into that lavish lifestyle, while debts quietly stacked behind the curtain. The world was beginning to see them for who they were. Not the powerful Hale family. Not the flawless icons of wealth. Just liars. Bullies. People who had turned their own daughter into a scapegoat. And I had simply let the truth breathe. But I wasn't finished. Because poetic justice wasn't just about their downfall. It was about reclaiming everything they swore I'd never deserve. The confrontation came sooner than I expected. It was a rainy evening when the pounding started again at my door. Louder, heavier this time. When I opened it, both of them stood there. My father, soaked in his expensive suit, tie hanging loose. My mother behind him, mascara streaked down her cheeks. For a moment I just stared. The people who had once called security on me now looked like they'd been dragged through fire. "Serena," my father rasped, his voice hoarse, "please. We can't take this anymore. You've destroyed us." Destroyed them. As if I had ever needed to lift more than a finger. I let them in. The smallness of my apartment must have been another knife to their pride. The cramped sofa, the peeling paint, the silence that contrasted with their grand mansion. My mother sat stiffly, clutching her designer purse like it was a lifeline. We went too far," she murmured, not looking at me. "What we said at the dinner, it was cruel. We shouldn't have." Her voice cracked. For the first time in my life I saw her vulnerable. But I didn't feel pity. I felt clarity. I folded my arms. "You didn't just humiliate me that night. You erased me. You've spent years making me feel like nothing. Now you're finally feeling what that's like." My father leaned forward, desperation in his eyes. "We'll make it right. Just help us fix this. Reverse the cancellations. Talk to the press. Tell them it was all a misunderstanding." I laughed. A soft, bitter laugh that filled the room. "A misunderstanding? You publicly disowned me. You called me a beggar. Do you know what that did to me?" They had no answer. Only silence. For once I was the one holding the cards. And I let them sit in the discomfort, drowning in the mess they had created. Finally I spoke. "Calm. Steady. Final. I don't owe you my silence anymore. I don't owe you protection. You've built your world on lies and the truth is finally speaking. From now on you face it, alone." The rain hammered against the windows as they sat frozen, realizing that this was no longer their game. This was mine. They didn't leave right away. They sat there drenched in the weight of their own downfall, waiting for me to bend. For once I didn't. My father's hands trembled as he tried again. "Serena, if we can rebuild. If you stand with us, people will forgive." I shook my head slowly. "No. You taught me something that night. You taught me how disposable I was to you. And now the world has finally seen who you really are. That's not my burden anymore." My mother finally broke. Tears spilled down her face, her voice a whisper. We wanted everything to look perfect. We didn't think." I cut her off gently. "You didn't think I was worth loving unless I made you look better. And I'm done living in that shadow." They looked small then. Two people who had once towered over me, now crumbling in the ruins of their own pride. I rose, walked to the door and held it open. "It's time for you to go." My father stared at me, disbelief etched in his face. My mother clutched his arm like a child. They shuffled past me, stepping into the storm outside. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the one left behind in the rain. The days that followed sealed everything. Their business collapsed under the weight of exposure. Their friends, the same ones who once applauded their grandeur, vanished. Invitations stopped coming. Partnerships dissolved. Me. I finally breathed. I wasn't rich. I wasn't celebrated. But I was free. With the silence of my small apartment wrapped around me, I reflected. Betrayal doesn't just break families. It unmasks them. And when masks fall, sometimes what's revealed is uglier than anyone could imagine. I didn't need revenge in the form of shouting, fighting, or tearing them down. I had already won by walking away, by refusing to carry their cruelty any longer. Poetic justice wasn't their ruin, it was my peace. And as I closed my blinds that night, the city lights glowing softly beyond, I whispered to myself the only truth that mattered. They no longer owned me.